Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to episode 3 of the Perspective Matters podcast. Before I launch into this week's episode, I want to take the time to acknowledge the fact that you are more than just ordinary people. You are spiritual beings having a human experience. And therefore, you are more than just beautiful people. You are beautiful souls because that is who you are and that is what you possess. So going forward, I want to refer to you, my faithful listeners, as beautiful souls. So this week, I want to talk about a reaction that most of us typically have when we face a difficult situation or a challenging issue. And for some of us, this reaction or response is almost like a default reaction. And I have a Jamaican proverb that perfectly expresses why such a default reaction is truly a waste of your time and it's a wasted effort. So here goes. Pound a fret, can't pay ounce of debt. Pound a fret, can't pay ounce of debt. And the translation is, 1 pound of fretting cannot repay an ounce of debt. 1 pound of fretting cannot repay an ounce of debt. And the explanation is, problems, issues, and challenges are not solved by worrying. When you worry, you're actually creating stress in your body, and you're flooding the body with cortisol that actually hinders your capacity to devise a creative solution. So the time you spend fretting or worrying would be better spent coming up with creative solutions and alternatives. So I would be the first to admit that worrying is typically a natural response, especially when you're facing a difficult situation and the world seems to be caving in and crushing you. And in that moment when it seems as if you can't breathe because the world is caving in, that is actually the time to breathe. Just stop, take a step back, and breathe. As you continue to breathe and you become intentional with your breathing, what you're actually doing is lessening and reducing the effect of the cortisol that is flooding your body. Once you start to feel better, then you should be able to devise a creative solution. For those of us who are listening who may not be familiar with what cortisol is, I found a perfect definition online that explains what cortisol is and the effect it has on your body. Cortisol is a steroid hormone that is produced by the adrenal glands which sit on top of each kidney. When released into the bloodstream, cortisol can act on many different parts of the body and can help your body respond to stress or danger, increase your body's metabolism of glucose, control your blood pressure, and reduce inflammation. Cortisol is also needed for the flight or fight response, which is a healthy, natural response to perceived threats. The amount of cortisol produced is highly regulated by your body to ensure the balance is correct. A study conducted by Professor Richard Dumin and colleagues from the Yale University came up with findings, though not conclusive, that strongly suggest stress and prolonged distress may impair our ability to think in creative and flexible ways. Now, I want to share 3 tips that will help you overcome and remove worry from your default setting. The first tip I want to share is change what you focus on by redirecting your thoughts. Energy goes where energy flows, and whatever you give your attention to is magnified. So if you continue to give attention to your issue or your challenge, it's only going to be magnified and it's only going to increase your stress. So if you change what you're thinking about and begin to pay attention to something else that will actually make you feel better and make you feel good, then you will find that the stress is reduced in your body and you'll be able to devise creative solutions to address the issue or the challenge you're facing. I want to give you an example to help further illustrate the point. Now, have you ever had to sit in a waiting room, whether as the patient or as someone accompanying the patient? Have you ever observed the persons who seem to be calm while they're in this waiting room? And have you ever observed the persons that seem to be agitated as they're in this waiting room? Now, chances are the persons who appear calm are those who are either reading a book or magazine or distracted by their mobile phones. And the persons who appear to be agitated are those who have nothing with which to distract themselves. The reality is, while they're in that waiting room, they're still unwell, but that is not their focus. That is not what they're paying their attention to. So I encourage you to shift your thoughts and not to think of this as an avoidance tactic. You're not avoiding the issue. You're merely paying attention to something else that allows you to feel better, that will allow you to reduce the stress in your body, and that will allow you to come up with creative solutions to help you overcome your challenges and your problems. The second tip I want to share with you is offer a gratitude prayer. Now, this might sound a bit bizarre and even ridiculous, especially as you're going through your trying and challenging situation. Chances are you might be thinking, what do I have to give thanks for? I'm in the middle of a crisis. Everything is falling apart around me. What should I give thanks for? In the middle of your crisis, that is a time to take a step back and to give thanks. Take a step back, take a pause, and think about all the other things that are going well in your life. Think about all the blessings that you have. And as you begin to count your blessings, as you begin to think about the other amazing things that are happening in your life in spite of your current crisis, you will soon realize that your focus has shifted. And with this shift in focus and with a new perspective on your situation, you'll be able to take a step back and view your problems objectively. I encourage you to also be very sincere as you offer your gratitude prayer. Gratitude is the magical key that will unlock all the magic in your life, and watch as miracles begin to happen when you find things to be grateful for. The third tip I want to share with you is break the problem down into bite-sized, actionable steps. When you focus on the problem in its entirety and not in parts, it is easy to become overwhelmed. Look at your problem in tiny bite-sized pieces and come up with creative, actionable steps to tackle the problem. According to anxietycanada.com, the first step is to identify that there is a problem. Once you have identified there is a problem, the next step is to state the facts and be specific about what the circumstances are. The third step is to break the problem up into smaller issues and tackle them that way. Once you do this, you'll be surprised to see what was once a crisis is now a series of smaller problems with a solution within reach. My beautiful souls, on the face of it, worry might seem like the only choice you have, but that is simply not true. You can redirect your thoughts, take a moment to find and reflect on things to be grateful for, and tackle the issue as smaller problems that can be solved with actionable steps. Thank you so much for listening, and join me next week as I talk about intentional speech, how your words can be your demise or your savior. Until next time, remember, there are two sides to a coin. Just flip it to get the full view.